Louisiana Monroe coach said, we got a couple boys on the team that played against Arch already, and they beat them. So we're not really worried.
Yeah, we're not
really worried about. You're not worried about that. It's like, well, Arch isn't at that private school anymore. He's at Texas, which has 5 stars everywhere. This team. And it's going to become a conversation point, I think, in college football, mostly because all the people that are like the faces of college football are kind of reiterating the same thing. The depth at Texas, the depth at some of these schools is so apparent. And like the Arch Manning story, obviously we've chatted about it in abundance because Manning, so obviously we're going to talk about it because, football family, football royalty that we know well. And I think I met Arch when he was just a little boy. I think I've actually shaken this man's hand whenever he was just a little boy around the Manning family in the past. But it's like, if you think about what Quinn Ewer did before Arch got in this last game, I think he was, what was he, 14 of 16 with 2 touchdowns?
Yep. That was before Arch came in and had his 5.
And then he was the number 1 Heisman guy.
Yep.
Okay, he's the odds-on favorite for the Heisman. He was the number 1 quarterback coming out of college next year. Then Arch Manning goes in after he goes 14 of 16 with 2 touchdowns. And Arch Manning goes bananas. And then Arch Manning now is a higher Heisman odds than Quinn Ewer. It is wild what happens there. So I reached out to the Manning family. Okay? Yeah. One of my sources in the Manning family said this: "We are old school. You never lose your job from an injury. It'll get handled. Everybody assumes that Arch is on this fast track to the NFL. That is not true. We are in no hurry. Wow. He wants to develop. He wants to stay in Sark's system. He decided to go there knowing that Quinn Ewers was going to be there. So the way that I think the entire Mannings and Arch and everybody is going to view this, even though outside it might get loud, if Arch goes bananas, is like, hey, this has been a plan all. I'm completely cool with it. And if Quinn Ewers comes back and he happens to miss some time later, I'm all good. And he's just taking this as like valuable reps pretty much for the grand scheme of this thing. I think they really want Arch to live like normal college football life before all this stuff. You come for education, you come to learn program, you can back up, you can not play, you can watch somebody else play, you can handle it all. It's like, that's kind of been their mission since the beginning. And just if he scores 10 touchdowns in 2 weeks, that's not going to change it. They still are very much, and they're big fans of Quinn Ewers, I believe. So it is a good problem for them to have, but it is going to get loud. I think we all know that's going to be a reality, but like the Manning family is like, he's thankful he's getting to play right now, and then let's just move on, which is like classic football stuff. I love it, AJ.
I do.
Because think about the transfer portal NIL money that could have came to Arch after last year whenever he didn't play last year. It's like that money could be gigantic. Instead, I know they don't need it. I get it, that whole thing. But it's still like the opportunity just to sit, chill, develop, learn. Let's not be in a rush here. Like, that's very old school, and I respect the shit out of it, AJ.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite of everything we're seeing right now. Like when you look throughout the country with what other quarterbacks are doing, in any position, which I don't knock dudes ever for transferring. Hey, if you don't have an opportunity, you don't see it, and you need to go somewhere else to play, I understand that. But with Arch, yeah, the fact that now he's thrust in here, and you're right, he's probably going to have a huge game, probably put up huge numbers. I'm sure he and Quinn Ewers have a great relationship. I'm sure there's no, like, tension or stress there. The more pressure is going to be on Sark. Like, if Quinn Ewers comes back and he doesn't, if he doesn't complete 100% of his passes and throw for 6 touchdowns a game, there's going to be moments when people are going to be calling for Arch. You just got to keep winning, I guess, if you are Quinn Ewers. But it's a good problem to have, but it's not a problem. It's just a situation you have to deal with, I guess, if you're the head coach.
It's the reality of the situation. Reality is that is just
right.
that is just what it is in the modern world. But I think from within the team, within the locker room, within like friends, family of all situations, everybody understands what the deal is. Yeah. Everybody is on board, and Quinn Ewers has shown 0 signs of struggling. Like, just this year, their team.
He's supposed to win the Heisman.
They killed Michigan.
Yeah, he
killed Michigan at Ann Arbor. Killed them.
Team is so good. Team is so good. But it's like, if he does struggle a little bit, the outside noise is going to be loud. And that's at Texas regardless. If the backup was to come in and play the way we assume Arch to play, and the starter has a little bit of a down thing, but then you add in that name, and you add in a name, it's going to get real loud. Whether you like it or not, that's just reality of the situation, but it feels like within the camps, everybody understands the sitch, which is cool. And that's why I think a lot of people like this Texas team to go win this thing this year.
And that's That whole thing about, your sources telling you, like, hey, you never lose your job from an injury, like, that feels like a very NFL-type mindset, too, just because in college, I feel like that does happen, actually.
That happens everywhere, not just...
everywhere. Pros, it happens,
real.
too, yeah.
No, people lose their job all the time to injury. It happens.
Yeah, Wally Pipp, I guess, was just hungover or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
I guess more so the person that came in took the job from the person that got hurt. You can still, whoever comes in, they got to play well, and they got to say, hey, we're not putting this guy on the bench.
Justin Herbert did that.
Yeah, it happened with Brady. I'm just saying, like, the mentality of it, that feels like a very old-school NFL type.
Yeah, they're going to do and say all the right things. The Mannings, they've have so many reps, and they've
well, we don't know if that's
situation.
from a Manning.
Yeah.
That's from a source.
No, I'm not saying.
Says
I'm not saying your source.
the Manning.
Not your source.
Camp.
I'm saying we know that they are professional.
I will say the source that I have has the last name of Manning.
Okay, all right.
Okay, good.
I will say.
No,
it's anonymous, but it does have a Manning name.
And it's funny because of the Manning name, because like Quinn came out. He came out earlier. He was also the number one quarterback in his class.
Remember the mullet? Remember everything we
yeah.
got on campus at Ohio
Sick.
State? All the clips of him with his, it was awesome.
Had to go to the state of Ohio so he could get $1 million because Texas wasn't allowing it at the time. So that's literally why he chose Ohio State. And we were talking about him. We were pumped for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still a massive fan of Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
But it's just like the reality is that this is a problem. It's a good problem, but it is certainly something that has to get kind of handled. And I think they will. And it feels good.
Everything I've read, though, to your point about the relationship, Pat, is that because they were so similar coming out, besides the last name or whatever, that the Ewers and Manning relationship is like, as a mentor, Quinn has been awesome to Arch.
Yeah, and that matters. Like if the backup hates the starter, and there's this drive, like a public drive for the backup will feed it. And by feeding it is saying nothing. Saying nothing. Instead, I assume, even though he is not the starter, like at some point there's going to be a question to Arch about it, and he is going to, I think, reiterate the fact that it's been this entire time. Like, this is I wanted. This is what I wanted. This is literally what I came here for. So, let's never forget that. And we got nothing but time. Him running 20 miles an hour, that was crazy. As a Manning,
Nuts.
How big
as
is
a
he?
Manning?
What are his dims? Arch.
Big.
Yeah, I think
Is he 6'5", 6'4"?
No, 6'3".
Because Peyton and
think he's
Eli
like
are
6'3".
both. They are giant humans. I don't think people realize until you get in front of them in person.
He's listed
Yeah,
as
very
6'4", the
large.
same as his dad, Cupper.
What's his dad's name?
Cupper.
With a U?
Well, it's Cooper.
Cupper
They
Manning?
say
You?
Cup.
You don't know Cupper
Now
Manning?
that's that Southern
I know.
Cupper. Yeah.
Old Miss wide receiver? Cupper?
Hey, Cupper's hilarious, though. I will say.
yeah.
I haven't got to hang around the whole family that many times, but anytime you do, it's like they all look to Cupper to like bring the juice, almost like bring the energy. And and Cupper shows up every damn time, I must say. How about him flying the Texas flag in Ann Arbor?
So sick.
And then for like just
It
to let
worked
him,
out for him too. Huh.
yeah, and then they go in. I don't know how business is going to do, and it might have been, a business suicide decision, but still hilarious to think about. Just Texas coming at Dahn. Let's fly that flag, put it up, let them know what the deal is. I love it. I love it all.
Looking around college football, there's one storyline that's kind of everyone's talking about, and that's the situation in Texas with Arch and Quinn Ewers. What do you think about all that? And then do you also kind of believe in the whole, you can't lose your job to an injury, or do you think this is a situation that if Arch Manning does what Mannings do and play quarterback very well going forward, that they might have a little controversy down there?
No, I think what Sark did in the press conference yesterday sort of sent the message loud and clear that, we have a championship caliber team and have an opportunity to maybe do something special with this team. And, Quinn Ewers is a quarterback. And I think that's probably the way it should be. Arch is a very talented guy. He played great in the spring game. He played really well when he had to come in the game last week. And I think that's the key to it because, Quinn Ewers has a history of, missing a few games, in the last couple of years. So to have an adequate backup that can go in there and take advantage of the weapons that you have on offense is really, really important. But if you sat around and asked the players on the team, like I always had a leadership group, and I'd say, hey, guys, who do you think the quarterback should be? They all know who the quarterback should be. And right now, Quinn Ewers has been the guy that has the leadership, probably has the locker room. And Arch is going to be a fantastic player, and he'll play great this year when he has to play, but he probably thinks he should be the backup, needs the time to develop, and Quinn Ewers will do great for him, and Arch will be ready if they need him.
According to source inside the Manning operation, I have heard that the Mannings agree completely with what you're saying. It's like, can't lose job to injury is an old school mindset that the Manning family has, but also this is what he signed up for. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to get into a program, wanted to back up, wanted to learn, wanted to live as a college kid, wanted to develop, wanted everything like that. These are valuable reps for him for sure, but they understand completely, and Arch and Quinn very tight. So it's like a good tag team.